What is going on, guys? Welcome to the recap of how I made $51,000 and 500 buckaroonies. So, highly requested recap from today's price action and today's Friday classic sell day, classic big bearish expansion day, right? Big old drizzy candle. So, just a crazy day all around. It was one of my biggest days. It is the biggest day of my trading career. I mean, 50K, even if you do the 50% split, like just on this day, that's 25K, right? This is my biggest day ever. So absolutely insane. We're going to go through my thought process, why I had the bearish bias going into the day and right when the daily candle opened. And I'm going to go ahead and go on the JTn&x platform and just show you guys the proof of the $50,000, because I know there's going to be weirdos on here that don't believe it, because I know 50 grand in a day is a lot of money to a lot of you guys. It is to me too. So absolutely insane. So moving on to the JTn&x platform, I ended up copy trading 5 accounts. So you can see on the bottom here, I'm going to go ahead and blur out the Express names just because I don't want weirdos doing weird stuff. But you can see the daily P&L on these 5 accounts. They are 10,300 a pop. So that's 51.5, right? So 10,300 times 5, 51.5. So $51,500 were made today. Absolutely insane, but that is the proof there. You can see realized P&L right there, and leader +4. So there you go, guys. 150K accounts. That is the proof. So jumping back onto the chart here, we're going to be explaining the thought process, the bias on why I had this bias, and literally everything that explains why we had the day that we had today, right? A big expansion to the downside, and there's really good reason for it. So one of the strategies that we do trade within the Discord, and one of the strategies that I teach within the Discord, is CRT, which is candle range theory. You guys may or may have not heard of it on the platform X on Twitter, right? So a lot of you guys have probably heard it. The guy that really popularized it, I'm sure you guys know who it is, but it does work, and it's one of the strategies I use and teach people the correct way. I know there's a lot of people on X that kind of trade it a little bit. I don't know. It's weird how they trade it, but it's basically just using a singular candle as a range. All right, so going through my thought process here and looking at the weekly profile, we obviously have a Monday high of week. We pushed up, we opened higher, and then we closed lower, and we closed below the highest point of this Thursday, November 7th daily candle. So this is my range moving forward, unless we get a body closure above this high here. Then this will no longer be a valid range, okay? So since we are wicking, that is a good sign. We don't have any body closures above this high here. Remember what ICT likes to say, wicks do the damage, bodies will tell the story. Another confluence and another idea and another thing that I teach within the Discord that I don't really see a lot of people teaching is important fair value gaps, right? True fair value gaps. So if we are really bullish, right, and we broke this high, and this fair value gap, this last one that forms once we break the high, right? Once this candle closes, we form a bullish daily fair value gap. If we are truly bullish and the market wants to keep going higher, and this wasn't just because Donald Trump got elected, then we will respect this fair value gap and continue higher. And you can see how this fair value gap does not get respected. Yesterday's closing price on the daily candle is all I needed to know, that the daily candle on Friday was going to expand at the minimum to this daily fair value gap, this bigger one right here, okay, which is the daily CRT low. Now, we did close below the threshold of this daily fair value gap, and that is a telltale sign that, hey, maybe we are going to get at the minimum a wick below that fair value gap, and this fair value gap is probably not going to get respected, right? Now we're going to start dissecting these daily candles even more by zooming in, and I'll show you the signs that were telling me right when this daily candle opened that we were going to expand pretty massively today, and that's why I ended up taking a trade where I ended up taking it. Another confluence before we move on to the lower time frames is, if I take my fib real quick from this swing low to this swing high, this is our daily dealing range, and you can see that we are still in a premium up here. So in case this daily fair value gap gets disrespected, I would at the minimum look for this daily order block, daily breaker block, and this daily fair value gap, or the deeper end of this daily fair value gap, this bullish one. I would expect us to dig deeper into it because the equilibrium or discounted level of this daily dealing range is right there. So I would expect us to go under it and tap into, the discounted part of that daily fair value gap. So now that you guys know the higher time frame confluences that I had for this trade idea, let's start zooming into the 1 hour chart. All right, so zooming into the 1 hour chart, this line right here, this black line is that daily CRT low. And as you guys can see, it is a 1 hour swing low as well. So let me go ahead and just mark back up that daily range that I had marked up a little bit ago on the daily time frame. So this is our daily range right here, and as you guys can see on the 1 hour time frame, we have a sell side liquidity level here at 580 that is in discount of that daily dealing range. So I was expecting price action to come all the way down into that level at the minimum, and if we closed a body below this swing low in discount, the next low within the discounted daily range would be at this low right here, which was the 457 3/4 level right here, and it ended up getting hit beautifully. If we start zooming into the 15-minute time frame, let's go ahead and go to the daily candle opening, which was right here. 1800 opening right here. You can see how price showed eagerness to get down to that daily CRT low, which was that swing low there. And again, we don't look for any sort of reaction here because again, we are in a premium over the daily range. And since the price action or the daily candle is opening like this, we are in bearish order flow because we're literally opening lower on the daily candle, and the Thursday daily candle closed way lower. So we're getting displacement to the downside in a premium end of the range on the daily, and it is displacing towards this sell side level there, right? But we're still in a premium. So I would expect price action to get down to at least the discounted sell side levels, right? Premium and discount's very important if you guys are not utilizing it in your guys's trade plans or trade strategies. So you can see the daily candle opens lower. We are in bullish order flow currently. We are respecting bullish PD arrays, and we are literally rejecting highs, and we are breaking lows, right? Every single 15-minute candle damn near is closing below the previous candle's low. So you can see reject high, break the low, doesn't really do anything here, breaks the low right here. So we are in bearish order flow going into the Asia session. You can see here we reject the high perfectly. We start breaking through the low. Again, bullish order flow, and we are still in a premium of this daily range. So you can see here, break the low, close a body below these lows. It's closing bodies below the previous 15-minute candle's low. So this is confirming that this is bearish order flow, and it's literally closing below the Asia session low. Again, it sweeps the Asia session high at midnight. We rally above midnight opening, go lower. Then we have an SMT divergence with ES right here. And this sends price lower to this daily CRT low right here, which is that line there. And you can see price action just falls all the way down. And then we come into the New York session where I ended up taking a trade right here. And I will show you guys where I took the Top Step X trades that netted me 50K on the day. Again, identifying bearish order flow is very important. And I'm seeing that we have bearish order flow. The daily candle is opening lower. We are displacing towards that equilibrium and towards this sell side level that is in a discount of that daily dealing range. Now, if I go to the 5-minute chart here, you will see that this high here is the London session high. All right, so if I split the screen over here and open up the ES chart, you guys will see over here, if I come back up to this high, which if I hover my mouse over this high here, that is the London session high on ES. And you can see that we end up sweeping this high on ES. And if I go to the 1 hour chart, you'll see that we end up tapping into a 1 hour POI. Remember, we are breaking lows and rejecting highs in bearish order flow, and we're also respecting bearish PD arrays. So on the 5-minute chart, again, we have SMT above London highs here at this time right here, which is the 755 5-minute candle here. We end up sweeping liquidity nicely here on NQ while getting that bearish SMT in that 1 hour POI on ES. Then the 8:30 news drops, which if you guys don't know, we had 8:30 high impact news on Friday. And then we formed another little SMT divergence here. Now, here's the most important part, and here is where our framework and our strategies absolutely dominate everything else. So you can see how ES, this low, produces this high that sweeps liquidity, that sweeps out the London high and taps into that 1 hour POI. So the series of up close candles, as soon as we get a body closure below that, that is a change in the state of delivery. However, 8:30 opens up higher. We sweep that high. And now that up close candle becomes our change in the state of delivery. This one right here. right? Because this candle ended up sweeping the high. So the one next to it is this up close candle. This is the highest up close candle before we ended up sweeping liquidity. So this becomes our change in the state of delivery. And now what is overlapped with that is a 5-minute fair value gap, right at 8:30, the 8:35 minute fair value gap. So you can see it's this 8:35 minute fair value gap right here. So what I ended up doing at 8:40 when it pushed up into this order block or into the CISD on on ES, and it tapped into the 5-minute fair value gap on NQ, I pretty much just ended up shorting 2 contracts here with a stop above this candle's high. Where was it? I think it was on the 1 minute is where I had my stop loss. Yeah, it was above this candle's high here on the 1 minute, the 8:31 candle's high there. So I was expecting the 5-minute candle or the 5-minute fair value gap to be respected and to send us lower into those 580 levels, which again was a discounted sell side level. Okay, so you can see this trade here netted me about 240 points. Okay, so at the low here is where I ended up taking all of my profit. I actually ended up taking right before it hit the 280 level because I just took the low hanging fruit. I didn't want to be greedy, but if I would have held a runner, I mean, this trade would have been over 363 points. So that is the whole thought process. That is how I got my bias. That was my whole thought process behind this trade and why I was expecting this to go lower. The main thing about this trade, guys, is that, we have to identify our dealing ranges, right? Even on ES and everything, like we are in a premium market. And the only reason why we pushed up this much was because of the hype with Donald Trump being elected, right? So what does smart money like to do? What does smart money like to do, guys? Dumb money is buying this breakout here, expecting some crazy ass rally. Smart money is accumulating shorts to go lower and rebalance at least, and then continue higher after we rebalance and hit a discounted level, right? But in my opinion, I think we're going to come down to these lows next week. I mean, if we go to the ES chart really quick, you guys will see that we have very nice equal lows down here. It just really depends what happens right here because we have hit this daily CISD right here. So it just depends on what happens. This is a discounted level. We could continue higher before we go lower. However, I am betting on downside, at least on NQ. NQ looks very, very weak for next week, at least to these equal lows down here on the daily chart. But you have to really identify where you're at in the daily range, and you have to, get on side with smart money, man. You don't want to trade with the herd. You don't want to trade with the masses. You do not want to try and buy breakouts expecting a crazy ass, rally all the time. And like I said, the most important fair value gaps, the true fair value gaps, are going to be the ones that form that break the highs or lows. Those fair value gaps should be respected if you're truly bullish or bearish, right? And again, dissecting the daily candles, if you start zooming into it, you will notice certain things on the lower time frames that'll tell you that the daily candle wants to expand to certain lower time frame levels, right? Does that make sense? But yeah, that is how we ended up making 50K on the day. Absolute banger of a fucking day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this daily recap, this trade recap, the market recap. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. I'm not going to be available most of the next week and Thanksgiving week. Next week, I am going to my grandpa's funeral. May he rest in peace. But I will not be available next week. I'm only going to be trading Monday and Tuesday. And then the rest of the week, I have to go to a funeral for my grandpa. But yeah, and then after that is obviously Thanksgiving. So I will be with family at the end of that week. And then, yeah, we'll come back really, really hard for December. And yeah, stay safe, guys. Trade safe. And as always manage risk. Be the best loser that you can be. Losses are inevitable. And yeah, have a great weekend, guys. All love. Peace out.